Okay. The thing is done. We
We're on
are
the we're on the
lived.
internet.
Yeah,
Yep.
we're
We're live
on
D
the interwebs.
webs.
Yeah.
Um. Yep. How you doing, my friend?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Um, just been chilling, really. Um, hold on. I always have to check the audio, you know.
I get it. No worries.
Yeah. I mean, I always feel like I sound so weird. But, alright. Anyway. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm pretty good. Same old, you know, work and work and work and chilling. That's it.
Yep.
How you been?
Good. Pretty much the same for me. Preparing for my real estate license or my real estate salesperson's like California real estate salesperson's license.
Hmm.
Get that. Close some deals. Take a good vacation somewhere. Send my dog to like a dog school for like a week. That sounds
Fancy.
so. That sounds so mean. I just spend a week away from my dog. That'd be great. But she's a good dog, man. She needs some time apart.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about trading in my car for a truck, but other than that, you know,
What kind of truck you thinking about?
an affordable one.
Like a Nissan Frontier or something like that, or like
The only one I've really looked at is like the new like Ford Maverick trucks.
yeah.
They're like hybrids mostly, but you can get it like not a hybrid. My only concern with a hybrid is like, you know, batteries are expensive and like the maintenance costs tend to be higher, I think.
Yeah.
Like that's like the main thing, but I don't know. It just depends. I mean, because my car is like worth a lot more now than what I owe on it, so
Yeah.
yeah.
And now could be a good time, especially before interest rates keep going up and up and up.
Yeah.
No, historic lows, but hopefully historic lows don't end up in historic highs.
Oh, I don't know if we'll get to historic highs, but yeah, I mean, even though they're going higher than they were last year or whatever, like they're
Well, it's
still really
really
low.
low. Yeah,
Yeah.
last year was like insane. Like it was a historic low. Like I don't
Hmm.
think they've ever loaned money at that amount. Like didn't the yield curve like index like flux over or something like that because it was so weird.
Yeah, I mean, like you look at like mortgage interest rates like 30 years ago. I mean, you were paying like 17 to 25%,
Yep.
you know, interest. Now you get like, you know, 3.1 is historically low. Um, so, and even now they're like what 3.8 or something. So,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are refinancing, which is good if you know what to do, but not good if you don't, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like a lot of people do it and like pull out that money and reinvest it in their house, which does make the home value also increase. But what I don't think a lot of people understand what equity is and what it means and how refinancing works. And you know, like the fact is, like you might have a house that's worth 200K more than what you owe on it, and you
Mhm.
can refinance, but now you're paying off a 500K loan because 200K of your loan goes into your pocket. Um, but if you have that equity, like it doesn't do anything if you just leave it there. Like it just sits there. Like
Yeah.
you can safely invest that in like safe stocks with an average return of like 10%, and over the next 5-10 years, you know, you're gonna make money on that 200K.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of people don't really think like that. I think like they don't really understand it, and a lot of financial advisors or mortgage advisors are more interested in, you know, making money than they are in helping you.
Yeah.
So
That's the thing too. For me personally, like when it comes down to fiscal, for me, I'm a huge advocate of just straight ownership first before you even think about like thinking about how a property can fiscally do this or that for you. If you don't even own it, it's not really like making you money; it's making someone else money. At
right,
least that's just my mind about it. I'm not
yeah,
like I didn't go to business school.
that's okay. That's okay. I mean, the other thing too is like there are a lot of people that like realtors. No offense.
Yep.
Their interest, because they obviously they're in the business of making money, because that's what
Yeah.
all business is for. Is to you know make money, right? So like if you're considering selling your house to buy a new house, well, realtors love that because then they get to help you sell your house, and then they get to get the commission from you buying your new house, right? But like if you said, well, maybe I should not sell my house, I should rent it out and then go buy another house. That's a lot less, exciting for the realtor because they don't get to make the commission off the sale of your old house. But that might be
Yeah.
the best thing for you in the long run to make money, especially because you're on a fixed loan on your current house and rent goes up over time, right? So even if you're making a $500 return right now on your mortgage, cash flow, then in 10 years when rents go up $1,000 and you're making $1,500, right? So
Yep.
there's a lot of potential for people who have money that own property already or are paying off property, like for people like us who own nothing and
Yep.
can't afford to get into the market because investors have bought us all out of it.
Exactly. Like what Redfin's doing and shit like that. Uh,
Right. I look at the price of houses and I think the average income of Americans is like the median is like 40K or whatever. Like, how do people afford to buy houses anymore, right? And
yeah.
and then it just dawned on me like 2 weeks ago. Like I was like, combined, my wife and I make pretty good money, but we still can't afford. Like we can get qualified to buy a house easy, but we can't afford it, right? Like we can't
Yeah.
comfortably pay for a house. Like mortgage, that's like $2,500,
Yeah.
but people can. And I'm like, who can buy this? Like, who are all these people with all this money, and what are they doing for a living? Well, they're just investors, right? Like, that's who's buying up all the property.
Yeah. And honestly, there's also a huge issue with foreign investment buying up American land because they just think it's a solid investment, and then they realize that there's no renters because no renters can afford to move into a house, and they're trying to find apartments rather than a
Yeah,
three
I don't know
bedroom.
how people can afford rent either. Like,
Yeah, not in
how?
a full house these days.
I mean, like, I think like it's one of those things where like you almost have to have roommates until like your 40s now
Yeah.
to buy things or to pay rent for things. It's just crazy. Like, I saw like a YouTube video where a guy was like guessing people's rents
Yeah.
in New York City, and like it's like some people were like that, like they only pay like $1,200 a month for rent, like in New
Yeah.
York City. I'm like, how do you manage that?
It's because they know somebody. That's the thing. Like, if you
Right.
just know somebody that owns a building or your family has a friend,
Well, most of it is like they have like six roommates or whatever, right?
there's that too. Yes.
But I think there are also like benefits for like people who are like of a certain age, like older people get like reduced rents,
Yeah.
which
And
is interesting.
also, older people have access to retirement communities, 55 or older,
I
which are
know.
the
Every time
markets
I
are
see a
still
house I
taking
think I
hold.
can afford, it's a 55 plus community.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's that way. Um, yeah, it's just the housing market in California is really difficult because you understand that some people are getting into like 30-year fixed rate mortgages where they plan to, there's some people that have this amazing ability, and I don't know how they do it. And they go to work every morning at 9 o'clock, and then they clock out at 5 o'clock, and then they go back and forth, and they just do that for 30 years. And then eventually they retire and their house is paid off. That's what my parents did, basically.
Those
Yeah.
old rents that have been same apartment for 30 years or something have a fixed rate. Really? I know in California, like there's laws, well, newer laws restricting the amount that landlords can raise rent year over year. But I don't know about what New York's laws are. But um, do they really get grandfathered in at rent rates? I thought rent was more like
Well, we have to
like
remember too in New York, specifically, a lot of larger apartment complexes are usually privately owned by one individual, the landlord or whatever. And
right.
it
Well,
really does depend on your
on top
relationship
of
with that
all that,
landlord.
like a lot of those apartments are need renovations.
And
So
shitty, yeah,
yeah, without maintenance and stuff, it's like people can either negotiate or find ways to get lower rents.
yeah.
But yeah,
Well, you really think you need for a contract to be binding is consideration of the agreement and then the agreement, then you can form a legally binding contract between two of you. I'm sure there's some sort of rent control, like some sort of rent bureaucracy machine they got to appeal to, but at the end of the day, you can still form a contract with another
Well,
person
I
for rent.
mean, and rent control hasn't really worked in California either. I mean, like it has lowered the amount that rent like landlords can raise rents, right?
Yeah,
But those landlords aren't then reinvesting into the property. Like they just
that's
if they can't raise rent more,
yeah,
it's on them legally to fix like HVAC systems and roofings and all that stuff. And if
and maintain
they
appearance of the building. That's
yeah,
something I
and
really
if they
think they need.
can't raise the rents to cover those costs, they're gonna you know
Yeah,
let some of it slide right where they can.
yeah, and that's the fundamental brutality of like the rent cycle. It's just hard.
Yeah.
Uh,
But it's good for some people who, don't want to have that responsibility of their own to have to like, shell out the money to pay to fix their own things because they own the property now and for like even me, like I think, geez, paying a mortgage that you can barely afford, if one thing goes wrong, how do you survive that, right? Like you just can't you just get into a more of a hole, more debt, right?
Well, yeah, and that's also why you should have a real estate agent that recommends you get home warranty insurance that covers it. Covers the HVAC and fridge and all the appliances and such like that. That's actually quite cheap. It comes out of escrow. There's that too.
Yeah.
And it also,
Well, and a lot of people like one of the big things that gets you with mortgages is mortgage insurance, right? Like
yeah,
nobody actually needs that, and you're
yeah.
just wasting like $300 to $500 a month paying for mortgage insurance, but you can't get out of it unless you have like 40% or something or more paid off or equity in your home, and a lot of people can qualify for that now, but like a lot of brokers will that's like the first thing they'll try to get you out of is mortgage insurance if they can because it's just legally in California you have to have it, but you don't
Yeah.
need it. So
Yeah, there's a lot of things in California. That's why construction. That's another huge issue that no one. Well, there's a couple things. One, everybody in this, specifically in the Bay Area, they always want to build six bedroom, three bath like homes. They don't want to build like 1 story, 3 bedroom flats. They don't want to build bungalows. No one wants to do that anymore.
but they
It's
also
just
don't want to build apartments.
yeah, because everything is too expensive to build. That's like I think that's just the root of the issue is that it's so expensive to make new supply
I don't remember what it is I read, but I remember reading something about like one of the biggest housing issues in the Bay Area is like the laws around
building. Yeah,
building
because the environmental
and
considerations,
and
which is important, but
they
also
said like
too.
yeah, they said like the single biggest issue is the fact that like you can't really build multifamily housing like apartments, duplexes, condos, like because you can't have like a certain number of people in a certain amount of area or something. There's certain like laws restricting it, and so everybody just builds like houses, right? Single family houses, and then there's not enough housing for all the people that are there. So and it's simple, right? Basic, business school stuff, supply and
Yeah,
demand, right?
supply and
There's
demand.
not a lot of availability of places to live, so
Like you need a
the
chart
rates
to
go up.
explain this. Yeah, you need that
Oh,
chart with that curve.
do
Come on,
I?
man. You
Hold on.
gotta
Let
let
me
it. You
see.
gotta let where this is where supply meets demand. This is the principle.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Um, let's do this. Hold on. I'll draw a picture.
And I also feel like this is kind of shooting myself in the foot considering the profession I'm getting into. There's a little bit of a inflationary bubble when it comes to housing prices in the Bay Area. Now, and that was for a good reason for a while, but now the good reasons are starting to move out of state to other states where it's cheaper to run multinational businesses. So,
Yeah. Okay.
we'll see what happens when all those people leave. I don't
Here we
know.
go.
All right,
So,
gotta. Oh, here's a chart.
yep. Here we go.
Oh,
So,
Snapple. Oh
so
man, you're gonna draw it out. Oh Jesus Christ. Oh no.
yeah. So, we have demand and we
Spell that
have
out. Spell that with paint. You gotta spell.
supply, right? And the more supply there is, the less demand there is, right? So if there's two houses available, the price goes way up, right?
Yep.
This we'll say this is in thousands, right? So if you have two houses in San Francisco, right? Then each house will be rented for $20K a month. But if you have 30 houses, then the okay, I'll just do the same because it's easier math. 20, then there'll be 20, right? Either way, it's about the same, right? 20K.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, this one's double. It's 40, but anyway, you get my point, right? As you know,
Yeah.
everybody knows it. As supply increases, demand decreases. Well, or they meet each other, right? So, the more demand there is, the more supply there will be, right?
Yeah.
But anyway. Oh, shoot, that's us. Don't look at us. Okay, now you can look
We're
at us. There we
behind
go.
the
We're
behind the
back.
scenes peek. There we go.
Yeah.
Look at that picture, that golden sunset. Oh, never mind, it's gone. There we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. So I think there's a lot of issues right now contributing to housing being what it is, specifically in California. And so it sucks. Like, I really do want to move out, but at the end of the day, I can't really move out until I close like 30 deals. So I would absolutely just butchered on,
yeah.
affording a house. And luckily, I'm lucky enough my parents aren't kicking me out. I don't know why, but they let me stay here for free.
I feel like it's more common though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a major benefit to, not spending money you don't have to spend right now. Like if you can afford to stay with if your family's letting you stay somewhere for free or for like less than what you'd pay for something, like, hey, you're coming up, right?
Gotta buy my own property and open a combination weed farm dog rescue ranch. That's what I need to do.
Yeah, I mean,
Check on the
even then,
crops in the morning, go rescue some
geez,
dogs.
I read a lot about that too, as like the marijuana industry in California and just how many regulations are around that and like the things you
Yeah.
have to do to get certified and
Yeah,
get
jump through a lot of
licenses to
hoops.
sell and like
Yeah.
it's way more strict than even for alcohol sales,
Yeah.
and it's just like crazy.
I think that's a huge problem with this state too. Because you can't run every county like it's LA County. That's just not something that can be done. And just keep passing these statewide laws on manufacturing and agricultural and stuff like that when they should be, I don't know, doing responsible agricultural zoning, because you have a bunch of dumb assholes growing a bunch of giant almond forest fields in the middle of a fucking savanna and then wondering why is there no water?
Yeah,
It's just so stupid. Um, if you want to is combinate, well, I gotta also bring this into it too because of my sister. She's like, vegan. Well, she's not 100% vegan because she still eats cheese, but dude, like if you ever drive to LA and you pass by that, was it like 50,000 acre slaughter like cow yard, dude?
yeah,
It's so disgusting. Who can look in that and say like, oh, this is great, this is okay, this is totally where I want to get my meat from?
dude. I learned like
It's
the other
so
day,
gross.
like I don't know why like this came up, but like we were out at like a Chinese like dumpling place,
Oh yeah.
and someone who we were with was like, oh, you know, like in certain like countries like China and stuff, like people eat dog and stuff, right?
Mm.
And like they're like yeah, I think they just like shoot them and then like cook them, and then like someone more knowledgeable on the subject said no, like they don't, they tenderize the meat by beating the dogs to death.
Yeah.
That's so fucked up. like
Yeah.
like how can you even do that?
So it's
Like who can do, like I get it, like it's different in America, right? Because dogs are like our
we
best
also
friends,
we,
right?
we
Culturally.
also yeah, we also need to understand that there is a level of poverty in the outer villages in China that I don't think we can quite understand when food has become so scarce to a point where you're willing to do that to another living creature because you don't really care.
Right. Well, it's not
um
just China, right? Like there's a lot
yeah.
of like Asian countries that like eat things that we don't eat, right?
Yeah, like
Um,
baby birds and eggs. That's a thing. It's considered delicacy.
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, is that bulo?
monkey brain.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we used to eat horse in America after we
Yeah.
stopped, needing them to ride everywhere, and now nobody eats horse for some reason.
Yeah.
But
See, it's just when you meet a horse and you're like, oh my god, this animal is like it's pretty smart.
majestic.
It's majestic. It's really smart. It kind of has like a person. Each horse has a personality, just like a person has a personality.
I mean, yeah, but sheep and goat have personalities too, but they're kind of delicious if you
Yeah.
know how to
Well,
cook them.
I'm just hoping we get to a point in this country where every restaurant has at least an option for fox meat. Because it's still at the end of the day, like it's still the
Fox meat,
same.
huh?
Well, no, I'm saying like FAUX, like
Oh, like yeah,
like Beyond
artificial
Meat.
meet.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
because like at the end of the day, it's still the same unhealthy shit. It's not like it's any healthier than the meat I'm putting in my body anyway. With the McDonald's quarter pounder. Okay, what's the difference? How like, you want to complain about unhealth? Like, oh, it's not real meat. You say as you shove this burger in.
well, I mean, it's just different, right? Like in
It's
like,
got a different flavor
but
profile, but
if
it's I don't know.
I
It's more
want
salty and more. That's more tasty to me because I like salt.
like meat, right? Like
Yeah.
I like this is like maybe I'm different, but I'm not going to like McDonald's to get like good meat, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going there because
Well,
their food is delicious. And my
delicious.
like
Yeah.
it's trash, but it's good trash, right?
Yeah.
Like if
That's why I
I
wouldn't mind getting the Impossible Burger at those places because it's just like I don't fucking care if it's fake meat. It's fake food anyway.
if I want a
Stuff.
steak though, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna eat like a Beyond Meat steak because I
Yeah.
want a steak, right? Like,
Well, and
and I'm
that.
also not gonna go to a restaurant for like a lot of people go to restaurants for steaks, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't get a steak from a restaurant. I'll just make it
See.
myself.
And I guess I'm a bit of like an agricultural extremist. I think is the best way to describe me because I just don't I just don't feel like back in the day. I just don't feel like these widely available meats. Like God, you should have a relationship with a butcher, and you should know where to go to get your cuts of steak. That like has relationship with the local ranchers. God, you go into a freaking
I think some
safe.
markets do that though.
Yeah, well, I know Food Max tries to work local, and I think Safeway, like they're getting all that Foster Farm shit, and especially all that stuff from like I said, that weird gray lot in front of Los Angeles. It's like 50,000 miles wide of just cow shit. Like I don't want to eat any meat from there, dude.
Yeah,
It's disgusting.
I
And maybe that's
think
just me. I don't know, but
yeah. I mean, I think there's a benefit, right, to not seeing how our food is made,
yeah.
because like
Well,
we all eat things like all the time that are like probably really disgusting or have things in them that we don't know about, right? Like,
yeah,
and the government allows for a certain amount of like maggots and stuff in your food and like whatnot. It's just but if we knew that, then we wouldn't eat it, right?
yeah. Or at least we would be more reliant on sourcing our own food from suppliers we trust. Like but I'm talking shit. Like, I can't really.
Well,
That's
you can
it
go to
is.
local butchers and stuff, right?
Yeah, and we got Brumwood Fine Meats out here in the East Bay, so it's a really good little
And
joint to
there's
go in.
produce stands everywhere by where you
Yeah,
are.
we
So
got farmers markets and everything like that, and like there's like fresh organic farms I can pull over and buy shit from. There's no local bakers though. That's one thing that sucks. There's like a bread bakery place.
really,
Yeah, there's no like local little daily sourdough roll farm kitchen and stuff like that.
I think sourdough's overrated.
I think you haven't had the right sourdough yet.
I I don't know. It's just sourdough's like a California thing, like
It's
people in
like
California love sourdough.
fresh sourdough out the oven, dude, is so fucking good. But like after a day, it tastes like shit. Totally agree.
Hmm.
Like my dad buys like the sourdough loaves like in a store that's like pre-cut and shit. I don't know how he does it, dude. It tastes like crap.
Oh yeah.
But
Well, what about Willie's Bagels, yo?
Willie's is the best. I go. I had to. I was thinking about going there this morning, but I actually went to El Galito. I'm not
Hmm.
sure if you recognize that. It's a place with the rooster on the neon rooster on the drive-through sign. You probably pass it on your way to Willie's. It's in
Hmm.
Brentwood.
Maybe.
Uh, it's a really great place. So they give you two burritos. When you ask for a burrito, they give you two in a bag. It's great. I
Two.
got that. Got that breakfast burrito with chorizo. Let's talk about not knowing what
Oh,
the fuck I'm
chorizo's
putting in
great.
my, not knowing what I'm fucking putting in my body.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
well,
it's delicious.
it is so good. And then I have them throw a slice of bacon in there too, with the egg and the potato and the egg, cheese. Oh damn, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like breakfast burritos. Like I don't like regular burritos because they have too much weird stuff in them. But I like breakfast
what?
burritos as long as there's no like peppers and onions and shit in them.
Have them take all the weird stuff out. Like you're just gonna like
Yeah,
a
but then
bean.
my like if I get like a steak burrito or whatever, it's just gonna be steak and cheese.
Dude, steak, beans, and rice.
Ugh, no, I don't want
What?
beans and rice.
Beans and rice are hella good. Refried is just like mashed potatoes with
I
beans.
hate beans.
What about the
Beans.
refried? They're just mashed potato. Come on,
No,
man.
they look weird. They taste weird. Like
That's
the
why you gotta
texture is
mash them.
odd.
You gotta refry them, mash them up. It's like a bean mashed
I
potato,
like
bro.
rice, but not in a burrito.
Well, right, especially like that good brown rice, dude. Oh, so good.
Yeah, I don't know. I like for me like and if you're going to like somewhere that's like authentically Mexican, they don't put cheese on their things
Stuff.
anyway.
Yeah.
But you can ask for it.
Yeah, that's great.
I like Mexican places where I can just get like chicken street tacos and add cheese and like nothing else, just cheese and chicken and the tortilla and that's it.
Yep.
I don't know.
Well, you need to get a little bit of cilantro on there. Maybe just like a
I
little.
don't like cilantro.
Get some onion squeezings in there. Not onion squeezings, but lime squeezings on there, dude. Give it
Nah,
like a
I'm
little
good. I'm
zest.
good off all that.
Put some hot sauce. There you go. Maximum flavor
Jesus.
profile, baby. I think I'm gonna try growing jalapenos this year.
Growing them.
Yeah, I was looking around today. So I was surprised how fucking expensive pots were, dude. Like planting pots, like for big ones. Like, damn, these things are like $34 a pop. Like, what the fuck?
Really?
Yeah, I feel like I never watched.
Yikes.
My friend got me masterclass for a year, so I've been watching all these. Do you know what masterclass is?
No. Is it like
But
MasterChef?
it's like famous people try to teach you life lessons. Some of them are really good, some of them are really boring. Trying to watch like Bill. They had Bill Clinton on leadership, and I was listening like, oh my fucking god, this dude just reading off a placard talking about how he's the best. Stop
Well,
listening.
like I don't know. Famous people are usually degenerates, right? Like they're famous
Yeah.
because their lives are kind of train wrecks. Like
Yeah, or they're
most
famous because they're fucking crazy.
most actors like have like
Well, the thing,
narcissistic personality disorders and shit.
well,
Like
also the thing about acting we need to remember is that if you're a really, really good actor, you basically need to destroy your own personality, completely engulf yourself in completely new personality, and take yourself and be immersed in that world, and then convince everybody else that sits their butt in a chair at a movie theater that you are really that person. And it's really fucking hard to pull that off, like successfully, or else you and I, or else everybody would be a fucking actor. Like you and me, we don't act because I can't fucking act. I can't keep a straight face.
I think I could be a great actor, but my
Okay,
wife
for like
laughs
who,
at me
Doctor
every time
Evil?
I try to act. No, not like Dr. Evil.
Generic bad guy number 3. Oh no! Ah!
No. No.
Red 5. Where are you going,
Yeah.
Red 5?
Yeah, cover me, Porkins.
Parkins, pull up. Oh no!
Yeah.
What a weird scene.
Poor,
I'm gonna grow.
why they killed
Poor
the fat one.
Fucking Porkins. They named him Porkins too. They knew what they're fucking doing, dude.
True. You said you're gonna grab something?
No, I said I'm just gonna. Man, I keep thinking about growing these jalapenos.
Oh, yeah. I actually finished. I read the whole Joss Whedon interview.
Oh man, how was that? Why'd you?
I feel like
why'd you
even well, just in case, right? Just in case there was something in there.
Got it. Just in case there's something that like redeems him from being a complete total piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, there were points where he straight up like admitted like he knows there's stuff wrong with him and he's actively seeking help, but like, and then the person who did the interview, right? Like they even mentioned like we reached out to Zack Snyder for comment, he refused. We reached out to Ray Fisher for comment, he refused. Like nobody else wanted to talk about him, but. They did talk to Rebecca Rankirshner, or they call her Rebecca X or whatever, who worked very closely with Joss Whedon on Buffy, and like she actually said a lot of very nice things about him, and kind of like was like like yeah he was hard at times to work with and whatever like but most showrunners are, and she said like he had an incredible knack for like watching a scene that was like a 3 and making one small change that no one else saw and it became a 10 and stuff, and it's like but that's like, more stuff about his work. And I feel like even though like people have seen who Joss Whedon is as a person and like even though like we understand he's a bad person now, like they then take that to say, well, he doesn't get credit for all the great things he did, all the shows he made, because other people worked on them and he probably didn't have much to do with them, and they're probably only good because of those people, and they were good in spite of him, not because of him and stuff. And it's like, well, most of us watch Joss Whedon stuff and we see the quality of it everywhere, right? Like it's in almost all his work, and Justice League is like the only thing where you can say, wow, that was kind of a train wreck, right? Which could
Yeah.
be for any number of reasons. And WB has a history of making terrible DC films, so I don't fully blame Joss Whedon for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I just started watching like his newest work that like they took his name off of completely in promoting, called The Nevers. It's on HBO Max. There's like one season, 6 episodes so far. Like he got cut from the show pretty much as showrunner when all this drama started coming out.
Mm.
But when you watch the show at the end, directed by Joss Whedon, written by Joss Whedon, and like it's like witty, it's entertaining, and like it's like everything you expect from him. But at the same time, like you have to understand that that's a piece of work, and he's a not a good person, right? A good piece
Yeah.
of work, bad person. Like these things are true of everything, though, right? Like we understand that like Walt Disney was not a great person, but millions of people are happy every day because he existed.
Yeah.
Um, it's just like
Disneyland is the best.
yeah. But one of the other things like from the article was like this narrative over time that like when Joss Whedon first started making Buffy and everything, like he was kind of risen up as like a deity and people view him as like an untouchable god and stuff, and like I don't know about any of that. Like I know there were like comments made like that in popular culture and stuff where like, oh yeah, written and directed by Joss Whedon is a stamp of quality and whatever, like blah blah blah. And it's like I get it, but like this whole idea that like people like idolized him as like a person is weird to me. And I get it as like the rise of the internet, and like people like to build parasocial relationships, which has always been odd to me. And like I don't know, but whatever. People can be how they are. I just like I like this actor's work or I like this writer's work, and that's as far as I get with it. I don't care about their personal lives, and if I find out that they're a terrible person, like then I won't want to support that person, but that doesn't mean that I won't enjoy what they did as a writer, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think it gets dangerous, like to ignore maybe important pieces of work because of the person who made them. If you look at right, like the Declaration of Independence
Independence,
was
yeah.
written by a bunch of racist, sexist people.
Were sold landowning only, so they were like horrible capitalists that basically came over and stole land from other people without really asking for them, and then started growing crops for cash.
Right. But if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be the country we are,
They
right?
are
Which,
today,
a
yeah.
lot of people maybe aren't happy with America as a country, but that doesn't mean it's not still a great country that offers a lot of opportunity for people. And maybe that's not always equal opportunity, but you can see how far we've come over time, right?
Yeah.
So,
And also the things, people are addressing in the United States today are just issues that have been fundamentally haunting the human species for as long as we've been treading upon planet Earth. Like, oh
right.
my god, America's so racist. Well, historically, everyone's racist.
Yeah, and a lot of
America
places are way more racist still
racist.
than us. I mean,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that we still don't have work to do, right? Like, we
Yeah.
can't just say, wow, look at hate crimes in the UK. They're so much worse.
Yeah.
Where our work is done. Like
Yeah.
that's not the case, right?
Yeah, and
So,
see the problem. We need to stop comparing ourselves with the rest of the world because honestly, fuck the rest of the world. That's the
well,
thing. Like, I just gotta lay this out. Like, my grandpa put this kind of on the table for me, and that guy said a lot of really mean, ugly shit that I don't like, but he also said a lot of really good shit. And he said, like, basically, the idea of the United States comes down to the fact that people can live together with these different, diverse ideas and not kill each other. That's just like, what it is the base. It's like we can all live together and we can have a mosque next to, uh,
church,
uh,
synagogue.
a synagogue. Yeah, we have a mosque right next to a synagogue. I saw it in San Francisco. I don't remember the name of the street which did, so I could talk about it more, but I saw it. I know I saw it. It's fucking crazy. It really is. Like that kind of thing just wouldn't happen pretty much in any other country in the world. I don't think.
Certainly no
Because
Muslim countries.
yeah, certainly. Um,
um, but
because
yeah, I feel like there's a weird dichotomy, right? Like it's just like everything else right now in the world. Like there's so many extremes because
yeah,
it's like you look at. I mean, they're going to be opposite people, but the people who say, well, look at all the racism around the world, like we're doing pretty good compared to them. Those are people more likely to be on the right?
yeah,
But then on the left, you look at people who seem to have this ego complex about America that we can change the world.
yeah,
We can fix everything and ignore everything else going on, right? Climate change is the biggest one. If America adopts climate change, then we fixed it. Well,
and we
China
didn't even
still
fix that.
exists. Brazil
Yeah,
still exists. I mean, the two
huge
biggest
polluters.
manufacturing countries in the world exist, and they're not going to stop. Like,
Yeah,
no matter what America does. So, sure, we can try to make a difference on our own, but it's not a United States issue. It's a world issue, right? In
yeah,
both cases. And one, we like to ignore the rest of the world, and the other, we like to say, well, they're doing it, so why can't we? Right?
yeah, exactly. And also, there are things in this country that I like. Even I personally have issue with going every day. Like again, the lack of modernity is something. Like man, like why don't we have a high speed electric rail that connects every major metropolitan area in the U.S. and is like just at cost cheaper to travel? So it encourages people to travel to a different country and visit other Americans, see how they live, go back to their own place, or maybe visit family for cheaper, so they don't need to
Yeah,
get on a plane.
it's crazy to think about because, like, if you think about the infrastructure of America,
Yeah,
like, how much later it started than, like, all of Europe. And all
yeah.
of Europe has, like, all this nice public transportation built into their infrastructure when, like, they started building in, like, 300 BC and
It's
shit.
not even. It's
Like,
not even that. Like it's the electric grid is better. The water is better. Like it's just like, dude,
is the water better?
every public fountain in Italy has three faucets: one for hot water, one for cold water, and one for fizzy water. Okay,
But can you drink tap water in Italy?
it just depends on what the well is.
I mean, we drink tap water in the United States.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody. A lot of people find it weird, but there's
Well,
like certain places in certain
we
countries where
drink
you just
treated
can't.
we drink treated water. That's for certain. Like
Treat it with chlorine.
chlorine and all sorts of chemicals.
Yeah.
They put fluoride in first because it's good for your teeth, but also people are starting to find out it may block certain parts of the brain from developing. Fun.
Hey, this is what happens when people just listen to health experts and nutritionists and stuff. Is like
Yeah,
they change their whole life based on what they say, and then 20 years later we find out they're wrong the whole time. Like
yeah,
in the 80s, everyone was told take aspirin a day, and
yep,
it'll prevent heart disease.
yeah,
And,
right.
and 30 years later, we said, oh, it
It
actually kind of
actually
causes it.
causes heart disease. And so just telling people
Uh,
maybe you should stop doing less cocaine.
well, it's like, things are good for you now and then bad for you. Like eggs, coffee, wine,
Eggs,
all these things,
potatoes,
right? That are either really bad for you or really good for you depending on the year. It's like,
rice.
just
Yep.
live life the way you want with not modern, moderation,
Yeah.
and enjoy your life, do the things you like, but not to extremes. Don't eat eggs every day, but eat them as you like.
Yeah.
And you'll be fine. But no, we have to say, hey, they said eggs are good. I need to eat 13 eggs for breakfast every day.
I need to put them in a blender and drink them raw.
Yeah. Because one guy who works at a profound university told me it was great. Like,
Yeah.
wow, man, cool. Why
Yeah.
is that why people are putting sticks of butter in their coffee every day? Because the keto diet was the next best thing. Oh wait, now you don't get any nutrients from anything, so you should probably not do that. Like,
Yeah. Me, like, I don't know. The only thing I'm a health advocate for is vitamins because I think at the end of the day, the average American has a serious deficiency in their diet when it comes to like essential vitamins. I myself have a serious deficiency in my own diet. I know you do, so don't you fucking laugh at
I
me.
I don't take vitamins. The only way I got vitamins, right? So I would drink like 1 or 2 energy drinks a week,
There you
And
go.
like I was like, wow, this is really bad for me. I should not drink energy drinks anymore. But then I like looked and I was like, this is how I get all my vitamins. There's so many vitamins in energy
There are
drinks.
other ways to get your vitamins that don't involve a
That's
lot of sugar, dude.
no, no.
Okay.
I only get low sugar or no sugar energy drinks,
Yeah.
which is even worse because it's like sucralose and sorbitol and glucose. And,
Just get a fucking protein blender, dude. It's the best. We got one for Christmas. I got one of those protein shake blenders, dude. Like I put in some good protein powder that's fortified with all the good fixins, a banana, some oat milk, because oat milk with full fat is actually quite good and tasty, and it's fortified with a bunch of healthy shit. And then I throw in some olive oil in there, and that's all my essential fats, and I'm good to go, baby. Cha-ching. Super health drink.
Jesus.
I chug it after I walk my crazy ass fucking dog. Switch arms now when I'm walking that dog. She's getting so big, so now I'm getting tired of one arm. I want to make sure my arms don't develop irregularly.
Yeah,
Struggle.
I go to work. I eat like 7 Reese's eggs, and then I go to the gym.
Oh man,
Yeah, that's
that's how I'm talking with my therapist, and I'm like, I don't know, I've been feeling so down this week. Can we go over your diet real quick, Matt? I'm like, no, I don't want. That has nothing to do at all with how my mood is
It's crazy how
whatsoever.
much food affects your mood.
Yeah. Oh man, I ate a bunch of shit in a bag, and now I feel like shit. I wonder why. It's the thing is like even when you're full, like the idea is you eat and then you feel better. But like if you eat a bunch of shit, you'll just feel even worse.
Hey,
and
peanut
worse.
butter is good for you, okay? Even if they put 10 pounds of sugar in it.
Sugar. Yeah.
Or at least that's what they say.
Yeah, well, it's back on the nutrition label. Skippy's legally has to put it on the label. It's right there. Anyone can read it. I just choose not to.
Yeah.
Pretend the label doesn't exist. It's all a bunch of liberal bullshit anyway. Don't worry about it.
Yikes. I mean, we've been live for 40 minutes. We haven't talked about any nerd stuff, but you know.
What else is going? Well, we talked about the Joss Whedon thing for a bit. What else is
Oh
going
yeah, the Lord of the Rings announcement.
Yeah.
So the Amazon Lord of the Rings series, they did like a title teaser, and it was like I thought the teaser was weird, to be honest. Like it's like someone just repeating the ring verse, which like I said this on a podcast I did separately, just like one of my own podcasts, and I talked about it, and I was like, yo, I could do this better and make it sound better, because it was just weird, like the cadence that they read it in. Like anyway, the title of the series is The Rings of Power, which people on Twitter were really upset about. They all said it was lazy and a terrible title, and it was reductive and self-explanatory. And someone made a joke. They're like, "Oh, what are you gonna call Star Wars? Star Wars: War of the Stars?" and some stupid shit. And I'm like, "Yo, you guys are misunderstanding the whole point of titles and getting worked up over something that has no impact on the quality of the finished product at all, right?"
Yeah, and also like Twitter.
Yeah. Like, yeah, Star Wars. Why would you call it War of the Stars? That's redundant. The Lord of the Rings and the Rings of Power are not the same thing. Like, they don't, like, the Lord of the Rings means that there is someone who is the master of all rings. That doesn't inherently mean all rings are powerful. It just means one guy controls all of them, right? And then, like, the whole thing is, right, if the series is going to be about the Rings of Power, then I mean, that seems to fit it, right? Like, if we're going to tell the story about the 9, the 7, the 3, and the 1, you know, which the Second Age is about, more or less. I mean, there are other stories in there, but if that narrows the scope, if we're going to talk about Sauron rising to power, manipulating people into forging rings for him, and you know, Celebrimbor deciding to make the 3 elven rings not be subject to his power, and things like that, if that's the story we're going to tell, then why not name it thus? Why are people upset about this? I don't get it.
People get upset about everything on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, what like people said, why didn't they call it the Rise of Sauron? Well, because the Second Age isn't just the Rise of Sauron; it's also the fall of Sauron. Because you know, it kind of ends with him, you know, losing. Like even if they like. You don't know what the series is about yet. The Second Age isn't just one story, right? Like, this is a whole bunch of time happening in the Second Age. There's a whole bunch of stories. Are we gonna focus on just one? Are we just gonna focus on Sauron as your main antagonist? Probably, but that doesn't mean that we're not gonna focus on other things as well. So I don't know. Some people just got upset about a title. Like I don't get upset about titles, and I don't get excited from titles because titles are meaningless. Like this is a fundamental Tolkien idea. This is something you and I talked about when we read like Mythopoeia and on fairy stories and stuff, right? Like Tolkien talks about language and names and the importance of them, but like they only have meaning because we give them meaning, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, also to push back a bit on titles, I listen to this great podcast hosted by Brandon Sanderson called Writing Excuses because I'm trying to be a fiction writer. When your title is essentially a promise to your reader, or in this case, viewer, about what they're getting into, when they decide to watch this show or open this book, like, it's just you're putting more, like, if it's a fantasy, obviously this is Tolkienist fantasy, so it's the Rings of Power. This is going to be a story about the Rings of Power. Hopefully, it's going to be a story about all of them, and hopefully we, get to see the ring race born. That'd be fucking cool as shit. See the ring race in action, fighting a bunch of elves or something. I don't fucking know.
right? Even the Witch King of Angmar. Like, are we gonna find out about Angmar? Are we gonna visit the Barrow-wights and stuff like that? Like,
are we gonna go to Barrow-dur and see its fall? It's supposed to be the most powerful city, and Sauron's supposed it's his hub, his base of operations. So I do think the titles are important to a degree. You're right. People, I don't know. I was chalking this up to people bitching on the internet because that's all people on the internet really do.
I think because like the Lord of the Rings and in its extended works, right, people are familiar enough with them to feel like they know what the show's gonna be about, right? But like you have to kind of separate yourself from that and say this can be anything or it could be nothing, right? Like before you read Dune, you probably had no idea what you were going to read. So the name Dune was meaningless to you until you saw it, right? Or until you read it, right?
Yeah.
The name The Rings of Power shouldn't be exciting and shouldn't be angering because we don't know anything about it yet.
Yeah.
Once you watch it and have context, you can say, wow, this title was shit or this title was good.
Well, also the thing about that is that it is letting you know something. It's letting you know what the story's going to be about. Like, oh, this is going to be a story about the Nine Rings, and then of course, this is going to be a good story about the Nine Rings, or this is going to be a fucking god awful train wreck of a story about the Nine Rings. Or
technically there's 20 rings.
20 rings, whatever. 7, 2, 5, whatever the fuck. I don't know.
9, 7, 3, 1.
69. Got it.
Yeah.
69 rings out of the sky.
Yeah.
Sauron's got ring number 69. Nice. You can always flex it on people forever.
No wonder Isildur wanted to keep it.
Yeah, dude. He's too jealous. He's Sauron. 69 and all these hot...
Yeah.
Ethereal... I don't even know what the fuck...
I mean, even the nature of the rings, like, these are things that we haven't really seen before. I mean, we've seen kind of, like, the One Ring, but even then, like, unless you read the book, you don't fully understand how it takes control of people.
Yeah.
And a little bit in the Hobbit movies, we see some of the power of other rings. I don't know, like you don't really get an idea for Galadriel's ring or Elrond's ring, or we get a little bit of Gandalf's ring, the 3 Elven rings, right?
Yeah.
But we don't get anything with the Dwarven rings. I mean, the Hobbit movies, right? We get
similarity.
Thrain is Durin's ring, and then the 9, right? All we know is that the ring wraiths are the 9, but we don't know that they even have rings anymore. Like, theoretically, he can give them the rings, it corrupts them, they become his servants, and then he takes them back and he can give them to other people, right? And then make more servants. Like, that's theoretically a possibility. But we don't know because we haven't seen any of it. So they can do some interesting things, I think. And I'm just excited for the series to come out. I don't give a shit about the title, to be honest.
Yeah. Oop, you cutting out. A little bit less back there. Sorry.
Yeah, we dropped some frames.
Oh gee, it happens.
Yeah. But overall we're pretty solid. We're green now, so.
Okay, good. Yeah, I am excited too, and I do want it to come out, and I want to watch it. And I'm probably at Rio's in the chat right now.
Yeah.
They're probably super excited too. Yeah, there we go. See, 'Cause me and Rio really love.
Yeah. The distinction of the dwarf lords who went mad or overcome with greed, but were never controlled like the nine. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only the nine men were corrupted and became ringwraiths. The seven were all, they were never fully controlled, right, by Sauron, but I mean, they still worked to his will essentially, right? Like,
Yeah.
because yeah, the dwarves with the rings did go mad for gold, like we saw the dragon sickness and with Thorin and stuff. So, um, yeah, and then the three were made so that were made secretly so that Sauron could not control them.
Yeah.
So
But I also think too, I am excited because there are a lot of people that their experience with Lord of the Ring, you and I live and breathe it every single day. I'm still reading Lord of the Rings, the book right now, all three of them in a row.
yeah,
And
I just restarted it too because I finished the Fall of Gondolin.
there you go, nice flexing, big flex. So I'm just working through. It, and the only experience they had is with the movies, and then the only experience they had after that was the Hobbit movies, which were not very good.
Yeah.
And just to put that out there. So hopefully the show will be returned to form, and it'll be awesome. And there will be more panning shots of New Zealand and more shots of people running across big open fields to make you feel like this is a real.
That's the other thing people are upset about is like season one is done in New Zealand, but I think season two they're moving to England or Ireland to film.
Ireland's beautiful. So what?
Yeah, well, I mean because it's not New Zealand, so people are gonna be upset. But it's like, I mean the thing is, right? Like Middle Earth isn't just one landscape, right? Like there are many different regions of Middle Earth. I mean, one of my favorite words from Tolkien is the Helcaraxa, which is like just like this landscape of like glacial ice and fire and shit.
Yeah.
That causes some issues for the Noldor, but
Yeah.
that's a story for another time.
Another day. Yeah. He traveled a lot in nature. I believe that didn't he do like a lot of like traveling to the Swiss Alps, and they were like a huge inspiration for him or something like that. I can't remember if that's true or not, but I remember he spent some time in some mountains and talked about it at one time.
I don't know about that. I know he had a nanny or a babysitter who was from Iceland, I think, who would tell him like fairy tales, and like he got some inspiration from some of those. But yeah.
And also World War II, World War One. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean obviously,
it's super. It's war. So fun. Yeah, it's so fucking funny too when they try to talk about it. They're like, "Tolkien, does this have anything to do with like World War One?" And he's just like, "No, doesn't have anything to do with it at all."
Like, I mean, he literally starts his book by saying, "Please don't assume anything about my works based on anything else. Like nothing is out. Like he hated allegory. He despised it. He's like, yo,
there's allegory, and then there's also like when
there's
certain
what he likes is applicability, right?
Yeah,
and that's what works, right? Like, I mean, you can look at the Ents, right, destroying Isengard, and you can say, well, Tolkien hated industrialization and hated the internal combustion engine, so maybe this is his, allegory for destroying industry, right?
Yeah.
Or nature fighting back, right?
Yeah.
Or you could apply it to today's world and say this story still resonates with all of us because, well, climate change, right?
Yeah.
Nature fighting back. Like when you can apply it to something that Tolkien never imagined happening. I mean, people were talking about climate change 30, 40, 50 years ago, but he didn't write Lord of the Rings with that in mind, but it's applicable. That's why it stands the test of time, right? A lot of the ideas and concepts.
Like when Boromir, there's a line that always strikes me that really feels like, Tolkien was injecting a lot of himself into it when he saws that Boromir, when Boromir sees the ring for the first time, or no, he's like off with Frodo by himself before he goes even Boromir, and he like ponders over, like he wonders at the marvel of the ring, and he's like, the banners of Gondor have blown down and down and been torn ragged by the winds of the east forever over so small a thing. and he starts talking about how tired he is of fighting these conflicts and how he can end it all right there. I feel like that's a
Yeah.
little bit of an anti-war message, because World War I was basically just a huge political dispute that got out of hand.
Well, and that was the other thing. Like, I mean, that was the big contrast between Boromir and Faramir, right? Is
Yeah.
Boromir actually loved fighting,
Yeah.
but obviously, like, when you keep, when you have to fight
Fighting
off
and fighting.
by yourself the ranks of Mordor, right? Like,
Yeah.
that gets tiring. So, and he sees like the salvation of his people right there in front of him.
Yeah,
Whereas
and it's so
Faramir,
small and so small a thing. That's a
yeah,
key word, like it's so small a thing.
yeah, and that's also a running theme throughout Lord of the Rings. Like, small, insignificant things make the biggest difference, right? Like,
Yeah.
things that are often overlooked sometimes have the greatest power. Um, but yeah, I mean Faramir. Yeah, I mean Faramir's famous poem. About not loving the sword for its sharpness or the arrow for its swiftness or any of that. That he only loves what they defend. Right? He loves Minas Tirith. He loves his home. He loves the city. He doesn't care about glory. He doesn't care about fighting. He doesn't care about war. He understands the necessity of it, but he doesn't care for any of that.
Yeah.
You know, and that, you can sense Tolkien in that as well, right? Like, he loved England, right? I mean, he loved it so much he wanted to create, a legitimate mythology for it because one didn't exist, and he he blamed the French for a lot of things, which
Classic.
apparently was not an uncommon thing in England, because even watching the Nevers, like I said, it takes place in Victorian England, and like right before 1900, and they're talking about the bastardization of the English language using French words, right? And even one guy says someone says to him like, "Oh, you don't care for the word employee because it's French," and he says, "Why would we call someone an employee when we have a perfectly good word to describe the employed?" The employed. And someone says, well, then you take away the individualistic, like the importance of the individual in a workforce, and by making a conglomerate, right, or whatever. And he's like, he just hates French words. But it's like,
all those French and their ideas of liberalism.
But Tolkien also didn't particularly care for French words, right?
Yeah.
Tolkien thought like the Normans winning in the Battle of Hastings, destroyed the mythology of England, right? And it affected its course in history. So, Rohan is essentially Anglo-Saxon, right? And it would be the purest form of England if it had not been defeated.
And it's so funny because his version of England is just people that were conquered before for when the Vikings came over, because it was fertile land, and they just injected their language into the local language. So
Yeah.
it's all pouring.
Well,
then first it was the Romans, and then it was Vikings.
I think Tolkien also prided himself on not using any words that were introduced into the English language after like 1500 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's why he doesn't use like tobacco. He calls it pipeweed and stuff like that. So
there you go.
But yeah, and like the thing with Rohan that's so interesting is like Tolkien really believed if England had horses, they wouldn't have lost, right?
The War of World War One.
No. The Battle of 1066, right?
Yeah.
When Normandy is invaded.
What was he called? William the Hammer, something like that.
Which one?
Yeah, he was a fucking savage.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
a giant dick on his armor, like legit. Like literally, his armor had a giant dick on it. He was walking around the battlefield with this giant.
There's so many interesting things about Tolkien and his mythology, and my Jesus Lord.
Team Mayday. Mayday.
Black screen.
All right.
Welcome back.
Wait. There we go. Yeah, a lot of stuff to unpack, but specifically about the British.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting things in the world, believe it or not.
Yeah, different cultures, different legends, different myths.
Yeah, and luckily we get to enjoy those things, and
Yeah,
because of our modern
not
world, and
not fighting war, not fighting a war.
yeah,
24/7.
my friend actually texted me earlier, and he said like congratulations on being past the age of being drafted or something, and I was like, wait, does he think it's my birthday or something? Like I don't even know what he's talking about. I didn't even respond because I had no idea what was going on.
There you go.
But what's the age? Like, what's the age limit on being drafted?
I don't know. I hope they just throw drafting out the window eventually, dude. Like the
I thought,
army's.
I thought, like, I thought. I mean, I know that they can still draft, but nobody is drafting, right?
Well, they're not gonna. Well, they're not gonna because like the jobs in the army are just too specialized now. You need like the 8 weeks of training they give you at boot with whatever job you pick when you go on your ASVAB. You know.
18 to 25. Oh, I'm way past that.
Yeah.
I haven't passed that for a couple years, yo.
Yeah. No, yeah. The draft is a dumb idea. It's a dumb idea from a past age. I don't know why we still have it.
Yeah, I did. I did have to. Did you have to register for the
Yeah, I did have to register.
selective
But
service?
they sent me the card and everything, so I just had
Yeah.
to fill out my information and
Did
send
they
it back
send you
in.
a flimsy little piece of paper though?
Yeah,
What is you
exactly.
supposed to do with that? That thing's just gonna get crumbled and sweaty in your wallet.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think you really don't need it unless you're drafted. And then the thing is, like, I think the idea is that when you're drafted, you get the paper for the notice of the draft, then you have to report. And then if you can't like go for some specific reason, it's usually listed on that draft paperwork. You know, the original one.
Can you
It's
write Trump didn't go, so I don't have to?
yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna put. I'm gonna put no thanks. Sorry, no thank you. I politely
You're
declined.
aged out almost too.
I'm 26. I'm already aged
Yeah,
out. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
What the motherfucker?
We can talk about commentate on war without ever having to fight one ever.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank
Well,
you, Rusty.
we've overstayed our welcome. We
Yeah,
talked slightly about nerd stuff, but hopefully, all the
yeah,
other stuff we talked about, people found some enjoyment from, or some education from,
yeah. Hope
or
you learned some. Hopefully, someone learned something new today.
yeah. And if you feel like you learned something new because we said it, it's always good to do your own research and come to your own conclusions too. Because we're not
Exactly.
geniuses, we're not experts. We can only tell you things from our perspective, and
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me, Mr. Chair,
I love you
and talking with
and
me.
the audience.
Love you
Yeah, no
too.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we
Thanks,
go.
Rio Jen, for your comments. I appreciate it, and your
Yep.
viewership. You don't have to watch, and nobody who's watching has to watch, but you guys are, and that's very appreciated. So yeah, much love.
Nothing but love. Outskis. Hit the button. Get us fuck out of here.
Hold on. Oh,
Uh,
fuck.